Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a short look at 5 different games with very different themes. We have a party game, a game about collecting roosters, a game about extracting teeth, a game that's rummy-esque, and then Takoyaki. One's dexterity, one is rummy. Well, you know what? Let's just take a look at them one by one. Top Tier is a game from Indie Boards and Cards, which is about this very common trend on the internet now of ranking things. You take whether it's video games or whatever, TV shows, and you rank everything, and there's the S tier, the best tier. Sometimes there's a failure tier, but you're just ranking everything kind of from best to worst in one of these tiers. Here you're going to rank people. It's not as bad as it sounds. Let me show you. One person will be designated the tier wizard in each round of the game, and you'll take a card, and you will pick a category on that card. So maybe who would be the best choice to entrust with a time machine? Don't tell anyone what the category is. Meanwhile, everybody else is going to start writing names down on cards. So here we have Rambo and Snoopy and Ben Franklin and Grover and Bilbo and Dr. Frankenstein and Z Garcia and Lucy Lawless. If you can't think of names, well, the game comes with a bunch of names for you. So then the person who is the tier master is going to rank those people based on a choice or trust with a time machine. Well, Dr. Frankenstein seems like a bad choice, so I might put him in D. He's on card 4. I'd write that down here. And you rank all of them. You then tell everybody how many there are at each ranking. I might say, well, there's 2 at C, there's 1 at D, 3 at B, none at A, and 2 at S. Then everyone else starts arguing over which ones would go where, right? Trying to figure it out which ones, and then you get a point for each one that you get correct. And you're trying to get the perfect 8 points, and that's how you play. Okay, so I think, there's a lot of games out there where you're ranking people in the group, and those never end well, although some people really like that. Well, you know what? If you want to do that, you can write the names down here. The fact that you can write any name you want is fun. Sometimes we put the name of someone who's playing the game. I put the names of my dogs before, whatever it might be. But also I can pick things like Ben Franklin, George Washington, pop culture people, Harry Potter, whatever it might be. And so there's a lot of discussion in this game because it's cooperative for the most part. It's not really a game. I mean, I guess getting 8 points is the game, and you're like, yeah, we got it. But that pop culture where you're trying to mix things up or whether history or what have you, but you're sitting there saying, oh, Ben Franklin would be way better at winning a knitting contest than Godzilla would be. It's obvious. And sometimes they are obvious, but you write the names before you know the category, and that's what makes it fun. Production-wise, well, Indie Boards and Cards does not do tremendous productions. This one actually makes no sense on why this box is the shape it is and the stuff that's in, because we have these cards that don't fit in this section, or this card doesn't fit in this section. These squish down in there. I don't really like the way that they fit in here. And I don't know. The boards are also okay quality. The rules are okay. But the game isn't bad. The game isn't bad. It's one that I would play. My kids think it's fun because they like ranking things. So I'm going to be taking this home and adding it to their collection. So because of all that, despite the fact that I'm just not real thrilled with the quality, there is a lot of entertaining things here, and it's going to appeal to the youth today of some sort. But I guess young people in general of ranking stuff. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. That's top tier. Rooster Chase is a game. What is the theme of this game? Set in a beautiful region of Barcelos, Portugal, a rooster farm owned by a royal family becomes the center for thrilling chases. Roosters escape and invade the nearby village. Will you be able to master the art of using worms as bait and triumph in the rooster chase? Yeah, no. In this game, you're collecting roosters and trying to score points. Here's how. So you're going to have these grids of cards on the table. This is a grid of rooster cards that you'll put out based on the number of players. And then these are pattern cards. You also have some worms, king, queen, and princess cards. Everyone's going to have a hand of worm cards, and on your turn, you play a worm card to take any chicken on the table. So let's say I take this chicken. I put the worm card in its place, I take the chicken into my hand. Now, if the worm I played matches a worm on the card, then I can take another worm into my hand. Doesn't matter which one. If I don't have a chicken, the worm is not on the chicken card, then I don't take one, which will reduce the number of worm cards I have. Although if you're down to 1, you always get to draw 1. Then, if you can score, you can score. So you look at the chickens that you have, and next to the board are the king and the queen and the princess cards. And they are going to say, well, if you have these 4 chickens, discard them, take this card, 7 points. These 2, 2 points. So you're collecting chickens to make sets of cards. Also, if the worms on the board make a pattern, so let's say the worms look like this, then I can take this card here for 3 points, because that's 3 black worms straight up and down. And that's basically it. You're just going to keep going back and forth. This is going to deplete. You will reset everything, play another round, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. Rooster Chase is fine. It's a fine game. There's some interesting ideas in it. You know, playing the worm doesn't matter at all. You're going to get a rooster every time. Do you get another worm? That's all. And worms can be worth points at the end of the game. And the color worms you have let you make those patterns. The more colors I have, the easier it is to make patterns. The patterns, collecting roosters and turning them in is fine, although I might collect 2 brown roosters and I just need a black rooster, and then someone else collects that same target card and so a new one gets put out and I go, The patterns is even kind of worse. If you put 2 in a row of blue worms, everyone wants to put the 3rd one out. So why would anyone place the 2nd one out? And that kind of ruins the game right there, right? That's just makes it not particularly great. It's an okay playing experience, but when everyone's sitting there going, well, I don't want to put 2 of the same color next to each other because then someone else will put out a 3rd. Sure, I could watch everybody and hope that no one has the 3rd blue worm, but I don't know. There's just something about it that just makes it very, very, very okay. Production-wise, it's fine. I just don't get that excited about it. And it's a little boring. So I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 10 because it doesn't even come, it's not one that I would even pick. I like a lot of the concepts of it, but I can't say that I enjoy it at all. So Rooster Chase for me, a 5 out of 10. Nice artwork, good production from Pythagoras, but just not particularly engaging. Battle Dentale, which takes place, it's a Cora Quest game, but other than being set in the Cora Quest world, there's really no connection between these. This is a 2-player game where there is Toothache the Troll and Gumrot the Goblin are bored. So there's some skulls there, and they're going to collect teeth out of them. This is the setting for an abstract strategy game where you're collecting teeth. Let's take a look. A bunch of teeth here are placed on the board. There's colors on them to show you which ones go where. You're going to start on one of these 4 numbered spots. You'll draw a random card which tells you which one, and you have 5 gold cards from a specific set. Your goal is to collect teeth that are these shapes and possibly colors, and you'll get these many points. And then just to get points in general, the color of your one tooth, so you're either going to be white or gold, and those are worth points while the opponent's ones are worth negative points to you. On your turn, you'll take your thing here and slide it to an unoccupied number, so this is 2. So I'd move 2 spaces, 1, 2, and then take the tooth that's there if I want to. Then the blue player can go to 1, 4, or 3. Then the green can go to 1 or 4. You have to count your opponent's spot. If you can't land on them, so then you would just be forced to go the other direction. You can also switch a tooth with one that's in there already. You can switch them side to side. If at the beginning of your turn there are 3 of your colored teeth next to each other, it's called a bridge. You get them. If you go next to these wisdom teeth here, these are tokens that will give you special abilities that you can play. And that's pretty much the game. You're just going to keep going, moving back and forth. There's only a few teeth left. And then you'll score points for your teeth, plus these bonus cards, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Production-wise, this is really nicely done. I really like the way that these little, shapes, geometric shapes, kind of look like teeth. It's easy to play. The sliding mechanism, where you pick a number to move, is pretty simple and fast. And, the whole idea of collecting teeth and getting points and turning them in is good. Unfortunately, the idea is the only thing that's good here. The theme is good, but I cannot recommend the game because of 2 reasons. One, it's boring beyond belief. You're just going, moving, collecting teeth. That's it. It also doesn't feel like an interesting game beyond that boringness. I'm collecting teeth to make these pattern cards. And if I'm the first person to get one, I'm going to win because those cards are worth so many points. So I collect teeth to get them. And I think the idea here was sometimes you collect your opponent's teeth just to finish off a card. Sure, and then you just put them back on the board and then let them collect them. So it's kind of a race, but a very slow plotting race. The special abilities are a little interesting, but not enough to drag me out of the tedium that is this game. It's 20 minutes, so there's that, but I just wanted to I love the theme of this. I looked at it and said, "Oh, this looks really interesting. How's it work?" We just move back and forth and collect teeth with no real strategy. I mean, on your turn, you have 2 numbers to pick from, and then 2 different directions. That's not a lot. That's not like small choices, but millions of combinations. No, it's small choices and small combinations. So not loving it. Battle Dentale. I give this one a 5 out of 10. But keep thinking of unusual themes like this. I like them. Set up as a Bezer Wizard game that is Rummy-esque here. It says it's a simple game of sets in all directions. So this is a game with tiles, think kind of upwards, but they're suits of cards, although here they're different colors, but there's basically different numbers and suits of cards, and you're trying to make runs and sets. Let me show you. In this game, you put out tiles in the middle of the board. These are the free spaces. Each player is going to have their own little tray in front of them. Oh, looks like I'm purple, so I'll have the purples in front of me. And on your turn, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make sets from your hand. If you can't make sets or don't want to make sets, you replace tiles with tiles from the bag. You'll discard tiles and draw tiles to replace them. But I can make a set. If I place it here, you'll see that it's made 7s. As long as they're all different colors, so there's 3 7s, which will score me 3 points. I also could have placed perhaps this 2 here and made a 2, 3, and 4 of the same color. That would have also scored me points. Now let's say somebody had earlier put the 4, 3, and 2 there, and on my turn I play a 1 here. I would get 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I would also give this player a point. Every time you get a point, you move around the track. First person to cross the finish line is the winner. I try to wrench some sort of fun out of this game. Like, yeah, there's some interesting things here, right? Like, this is a game which I could see this game being sold in the discount section of a grocery store where they have toys and they're set up on the shelf. I mean, this box is not inspiring fun. This looks like a discount game. But it also feels like one, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. Like, I'm making runs and sets, and sometimes you feel like you're making a clever move, but it's Scrabble with a smaller tray and less to do. Now, on one hand, I think some people might enjoy that because it's going to remind you a bit of Rummy/Uno, games where you play a card, do a card, and that's all you're doing. If you're just playing Rummy, you're drawing a card, collecting sets. It's not particularly engaging to me, but I can see how people like that. So if you know a Rummy fan, this might work for them too. And the idea of setting some numbers in your own section and hoping that those make runs that will tempt other people to give you points is mildly interesting. But I just don't find it to be engaging. It's fast, the pieces work well, but it doesn't look flashy, doesn't play flashy, and I need a little bit of flash. It's a little plotting for me. So I have to set up a 5 out of 10. If you're a big fan of Rummy, you might like it, but for me, this is a pass. Takoyaki is based on the delicious treat from Japan, and you are going to make those. But also, it's a dexterity game about moving ping pong paddles with hands. Let me show you. Each player is going to have one of these trays, which will have these ping pong balls in it. Here, the takoyaki, and you will have them in a pattern, but you're going to be drawing a card here, which shows you the pattern you need to put them in. Each player will then have 2 hands that correspond to their color, and what you're doing is you're pushing them from one to another, trying to get in this pattern. And you can kind of rotate them because it's important. If it shows the color, you need to have a color completely showing, and if it doesn't show the color, then you need to have it hidden, like I'm doing here. And so there we go. That's down. Bringing this one over here, face down, done. Takoyaki. So as soon as you do that, if you're the first person, you win the card. Person who wins the most cards is the winner. Oops, this one's not even right. I'm supposed to show that. There we go. Now it matches. There's a bunch of cards in the game that are going to show various things, and you just keep playing. That's the whole game. This is one of those reviews where my overview explains what you're thinking of the game. You know already watching it if you're going to like it or not. This works for kids. It works for people who want a silly dexterity game. But it didn't stand out for me. There's a lot of games where you need to make a pattern before other people. The pouring balls from beaker to beaker, or stacking something, or figuring out a little puzzle before other people. This one is simply using little rubber hands to move ping pong balls. And I don't think that stands out in a crowded genre. It's not bad. It's okay. It's a weird flex from Grana because I like their games, and they make a lot of Euro-style games, and some of my favorite games come from this company, and they don't often make dexterity games. Yep, this one might sell well at stores because, again, you look at it, people like Takoyaki. They like the idea of moving things. I mean, dexterity games are universally liked by many people. I would play this if you asked me to. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. I don't think it's a bad game, moving things around. But even with kids, you run into the aspect that someone just might be better than everyone else. They just might be, and they'll be able to move the stuff faster than everyone else. Also, the game is going to be the same every single time. But if you don't mind either of those things, and you like that whole rearrange something into a pattern before everybody else at the table, this is another game in that genre. I don't think it stands out other than the theme. I mean, the artwork here is fun on the front, and the idea of it, I think, is going to be enjoyable to people. But beyond that, it's very, very, very okay. There you go, folks. 5 games. Most of them I didn't really love a lot. But hey, maybe you feel differently. Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower. I hope you enjoy our reviews. And if you do, subscribe to the channel. And also check out all the other things that we're putting out here. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out every week. We hope you enjoy it. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I hope you're having a wonderful month. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.